Live, local, late breaking. WMBF News starts with breaking news.
Today will mark a very horrific day in the annals of the Florence Police Department.
Front of Venice driving Half Mile Road, have an officer down.
Suspect inside the residence opened fire on the investigators.
240, let us know that this time the patient is going to be behind the residence and the suspect was still firing.
These officers went there unknowing the firepower the suspect had.
This situation is not getting any better. Please stay out of the next place until we call.
Just keep our officers and our agencies in your prayers.
The prayers of every human being who knows the Lord Jesus Christ to pray for these officers.
Thanks for joining us for WMBF News at 11 as we continue our breaking news coverage tonight. I'm Meredith Heeline.
I'm Eric Weisfeld. It has been a tough night here. One officer dead, 6 others injured along with 1 civilian. This is the story we've been bringing you since it first broke around 5 o'clock this evening, and we've continued to stay at the scene as more developments have emerged. We have team coverage now from Florence County. Ian Klein with the emotional update from officials at McLeod Regional Medical Center.
Patrick Lloyd, who spoke with a mother who heard the gunshots and caught them on camera.
Max McGee with reaction from across the nation, a breakdown on what we're seeing on social media tonight.
Ania Watson, who was the first of our crew members to arrive on the scene this afternoon. She's breaking down what we know at this point. Nia.
First, though, we now know the identity of the officer who was killed today. This man, Terrence Caraway, is the Florence officer who died from his injuries. Florence County Coroner says he was just 52 years old from Darlington. He was pronounced dead at the hospital. An autopsy will be conducted tomorrow at MUSC. City of Florence spokesman John Wakila says Caraway died and just received his 30-year service pin from the department.
Another sad update as details from the situation continue to develop. Our team coverage starts with Nia Watson tonight. And
Nia, you've been on the scene for more than 6 hours now. Give us some context as to what's going on right now and what we know now about this situation.
Eric, I'm still here on the scene off Hoffmeyer Road across from a Vintage Place neighborhood where the shooting happened. Now, looking around, you can see that the scene has definitely cleared up, except for the police officers at the entrance of the neighborhood there. But Florence County Sheriff Kenny Boone says authorities were serving the suspect a warrant when shots were fired. At 5 this evening, authorities reported a female deputy shot during an active shooting situation. And at 6, county officials tweeted the active shooting was over and the suspect was in custody at that time. Now, right now, we know that 8 people in total were shot. One of those people, a Florence City police officer, like you stated earlier, is dead. And earlier, Florence County officials very emotional, thanking everyone for the quick response to the situation.
Gunfire started. Several officers were hit. And I want to thank Florence Police Department. Those guys were they were minutes away and assisted us as well. You know, it's great when you do have that relationship with other officers and other agencies that you call them for help, and we can work as one entity.
As coming up, you'll hear from more people who live in the area on their thoughts coming home to this devastating scene. For now, live in Florence County, Nia Watson at WMBF News.
Now we go to Ian Klein live at McLeod Regional Medical Center, where several of the injured officers are being treated tonight.
And Ian, you had the chance to hear from both law enforcement and Florence Mayor Stephen Wakila.
That is correct, and you heard Nia talk about the emotion that everyone was going through, and those emotions came all the way here. Much quieter this evening. Earlier we saw officers and family members all hugging and crying. We also heard from Florence Police Chief Alan Heidler, who showed those raw emotion, asking for everyone's prayers and support.
Today will mark a very horrific day in the annals of the Florence Police Department. Today we lost a good friend of mine, an officer that I've known for 30 years.
In total, 7 law enforcement officers were shot, 3 deputies from the Florence County Sheriff's Office and 4 officers from the Florence Police Department.
We know that at times, this is a dangerous job, and our deputies readily and bravely accept that challenge.
We ask for your prayers for the wounded and their families at this time.
Outside agencies were brought in to assist with the investigation. Florence County Sheriff Kenny Boone described the scene.
You know, these officers witnessed something, seeing their fellow officers stuff down. Fire was being shot all over. The way the suspect was positioned, his view of fire was several hundred yards.
Florence Mayor Stephen Wakila assuring people of Florence one thing tonight.
The community is safe tonight. Those in Vintage Place and throughout the community should know that you're safe. And you're safe because of those officers and deputies who are willing and have been willing and are continue to be willing to put their self in harm's way.
We will take care of our family because this is my family. These officers are my family. We will take care of them and we will take care of their loved ones. But I want you to please pray for these officers and their speedy recovery. Pray for the family who lost the bravest police officer that I have ever known.
And we have not received any more information about the deputies or officers that are at the hospital at this moment being treated. We'll continue to keep you updated throughout the night and into tomorrow morning. Reporting live in Florence, Ian Klein, WMBF News.
Continuing our team coverage now, a woman who lives near the site of the shooting captured a pretty scary moment on her cell phone this evening.
Patrick Lloyd is live on Hoffmeyer Road with her story tonight. Patrick.
Yeah, Shannon McGurn lives just down the road from here. Her neighborhood actually connects to the neighborhood where the shooting happened. She heard those gunshots go off, and so she pulled out her phone to record that moment. You're going to hear it in just a second here. McGurn had actually just gotten home from work and picked up her daughter when she started hearing a few shots here and there. She says at first she didn't think much of it because there's a field nearby where she hears gunshots go off every now and then. But she says her friend who lives in the neighborhood where it happened called her and told her she needed to go find a safe place in the house because there was a shooter nearby. So she did just that. Take a listen first to the gunshots in her video and then her reaction.
Hearing the gunshots that I heard at the rapid rate that they were firing, and it seemed to go on and on and on. You know, that was all I could think about, is that here are these men and women that are underpaid, and they're walking, running, whatever, up to this house right in the line of fire.
I'll have more on McGurn's experience a little bit later on in our show this evening. For now, reporting live in Florence County, Patrick Lloyd, WMBF News.
And as this situation unfolded, we saw an outpouring of support on social media.
Our Max McGee has been in the newsroom monitoring reaction online tonight. He joins us now with what he's found. Max.
News of the deadly shooting spread across social media quickly, from locally to around the nation. Many sent their thoughts and prayers to Florence County tonight. The President of the United States retweeting Governor McMaster saying, quote, "My thoughts and prayers are with the Florence County Sheriff's Office and with the Florence Police Department tonight in South Carolina. We are forever grateful what our law enforcement officers do 24/7, 365. President Trump is just 2 weeks removed from visiting Horry County. Governor Henry McMaster in a two-part tweet saying, quote, "This is simply devastating news from Florence. The selfless acts of bravery from the men and women in law enforcement is real, just like the power of prayer is real." He went on to say, "Peggy and I ask you pray for them, pray for their recovery, pray for their families, and pray for all of Florence." South Carolina Governor candidate James Smith saying, "All of the people of South Carolina have suffered a loss as one who was devoted to protecting our safety has been taken from us in a senseless act." Congressman Tom Rice retweeted WMBF News on Twitter saying, quote, "This is absolutely devastating. We're staying updated and sending our prayers to the police officers and their families." Senator Lindsey Graham saying he spoke with Florence Mayor Steve Wakila. "We stand by ready to help in any way we can." Our area was already in the hearts and minds of many around the country with the devastation many are facing from Hurricane Florence, and now again with the shooting. What our local agencies are saying about this latest tragedy. Just a few minutes.
Break down those changes here in a few more minutes.
Recapping our breaking news, 8 people were shot, 1 officer was killed Our coverage on this deadly shooting in the PD continues late into the night. You're taking a live look at the scene right now. You can see officers are still there. Their lights are still on. Neil Watson has another live report coming up in just 3 minutes.
Now we continue our breaking news coverage at 11 after one officer is dead, 6 other law enforcement officers injured, and 1 civilian also injured in the shooting.
1 suspect is in custody tonight. Our Nia Watson, the first from our news team to arrive on that scene this afternoon. Nia, what can you tell us about these ongoing developments? We're still learning even into the night now.
Yeah, Eric, I'm still here off Hoffmeyer Road and taking a look around. Like I said earlier, the area is starting to clear out, not as nearly as much officers as earlier, but let me give you a look at the scene currently here. Like I said, not that many officers. We still have several officers here at the entrance of where it all happened, Vintage Place, and several officers still blocking the entrance there. But this is known as an upscale neighborhood, but around 5 this evening is when authorities say a male suspect opened fire on officers, ultimately shooting 8 people in total. We now know the identity of the Florence police officer that died, 52-year-old Terrence Caraway. The chief of police saying he was a good friend at the press conference earlier. Now, as for the people in the area, they are truly shocked that this has happened, especially since this is known again as a nice and quiet neighborhood. But one person who lives just 2 houses down describes a different scene when arriving home.
There was a lot of traffic, a lot of cops everywhere. I later found out that there was more than 100 cops coming to our street, so I wasn't able to come to my house at all until hours later.
As you can see earlier, several officers still remain on the scene because this is an ongoing investigation. A lot has happened tonight, so we expect them to be here for a while, but we will continue to stay with you throughout the night and continue to provide updates on air and online. For now, live in Florence County, Neil Watson, WMBF News.
All right, Neil, we're going to check back with you in just a few minutes. Now, though, we want to continue our team coverage with Ian Klein.
And you've been at McLeod Regional Medical Center for hours now, including when officials gave an emotional update earlier this evening.
Yeah, that official was Police Chief Alan Heidler, who got extremely choked up when talking about the fallen officer. We now know that that was Terrence Caraway. We were told he was a 52-year-old officer from Darlington, had 30 years here in Florence, was pronounced dead at the hospital, and an autopsy will be conducted tomorrow evening. And we were told by Chief Heidler that he was one of the bravest officers he had ever known and is asking for the community's support this evening. Now, we don't know too much more about the other officers involved as well as the other deputies. Again, it was 7 total. We know it was 4 police officers, one of those being Terrence Caraway, and 3 other county deputies. And this evening, those 3 deputies and 4 police officers, Chief Heidler asks for everyone to give their prayers this evening and keep Florence in their heart.
I can only echo the sentiments of the sheriff and ask for, at this particular time, the prayers of every human being who knows the Lord Jesus Christ to pray for these officers.
And again, we are still waiting to get more information about the other officers and deputies involved, and we'll continue to keep those updates throughout the evening. Reporting live in Florence, Ian Klein, WMBF News.
As we continue to follow that breaking news out of Florence tonight, we don't want to forget about Hurricane Florence, with people still struggling to recover in communities in the Grand Strand and PD.
City of Conway posting these images today with the latest view of the flooding there. Now, improvements, but still, as you can see, not back to normal yet.
Robert Whitehurst joining us now with the latest on those receding river and waterway levels. Robert.
And they do continue to drop. One of those photos was the railroad tracks, and you can actually see the tracks now. When we were at the crest, they were completely underwater there. So it shows you that it has dropped some, and considerably in a few spots. Downtown Conway.
Within the last hour, we've confirmed the officer who was killed in tonight's deadly shooting. The City of Florence spokesman announced Terrence Caraway, you see him here on the right side of your screen, lost his life near the scene you're seeing live right now. Our team coverage of tonight's shooting in Florence County continues next.
7 officers shot, one of them dead tonight. A bystander also injured after law enforcement served a warrant at a home in Florence County this evening.
Our team coverage continues right now with Nia Watson, who we've been checking in with every few minutes over the past 6 hours or so. Nia, what can you tell us?
Yeah, I've been here on the scene now for, like you said, several hours, and this whole area here off Hoffmeyer Road has just been chaotic throughout the entire day. Earlier, police officers and deputies racing to the scene on the other side of Hoffmeyer Road, helicopters circling the area and touching down at the fire station. And now the scene, you can see, is clearing out. Not as many officers in the area as earlier, but it's still a devastating situation for the area. And you can only imagine the people here who live here. This area will never be the same for them because of what happened tonight. 8 people shot. 1 city police officer, Florence City police officer, is dead. So this is a very traumatic situation for everyone in this area and the officers involved. But we will continue to keep you updated as this story develops. It's going to be a long day into the weekend with people just trying to wrap their head around what's going on here. But continue to stay with us for any updates on the story. For now, live in Florence County, Nia Watson at WMBF News.
A woman who lives near the scene of the shooting captured sound of the gunshots on video.
Yeah, amazing. Patrick Lloyd live on Hoffmeyer Road now with more on that story. Patrick?
Yeah, Shannon McGurn lives just a little bit away from the scene here. Her neighborhood connects to the neighborhood where the shooting actually happened. She says that today started as a normal Wednesday, but ended as anything but.
We got home from work and picking up my daughter, and we're playing in the backyard, and we heard probably 2 to 3 gunshots.
Shannon McGurn says she didn't think much of those first few shots because there's a field nearby where she hears gunshots every now and then.
It was about 30 minutes after the initial 3 shots. It was gunfire. It literally sounded like fireworks.
That's when she started shooting this video. You can also hear her baby crying. Her baby is just 19 months old.
You have the temptation to look outside through the window, but again, with her, I mean, that's the last one I want near a window.
She says a lot was running through her head.
You know, there's that fear of, are they, on foot? Are they going to come here? I mean, you just don't know.
McGurn says this is one of those scenarios where you'd never think it happened near you, but it did. And when police officers are involved, she can't help but get sad.
I mean, my heart just goes out to, everyone that was affected in the home, the officers especially, and their families and their co-workers.
McGurn says her dad is actually a highway patrolman based in Columbia, South Carolina as well. So with a parent in law enforcement, this one definitely hits home for her. Reporting live in Florence County, Patrick Lloyd, WMBF News.
Throughout the evening, reaction of today's shooting has been widespread and ongoing, ranging from Florence County locals to President Donald Trump himself, all posting to show their support and condolences for these officers.
Joining us once again, Max McGee continues to closely monitor the activity and more on the support that we've seen tonight coming from all over the country, Max.
From lawmakers to the agencies who protect and serve, everyone is feeling the effects of this violence tonight. Let's start right here in Horry County. The sheriff's office saying their hearts are broken tonight. We love you, Florence County. We lift you in prayer. Georgetown County's government chiming in saying our deepest condolences are with the city of Florence PD, and our prayers are with the wounded officers from the city police and Florence County Sheriff's Office and their families. Our hearts break for you. Other agencies beyond the Grand Strand and PD, like Lexington Police, say our prayers and support are with the Florence Police Department and the Florence County Sheriff's Office and the families of the law enforcement officers involved in the incident this evening. Finally, the South Carolina National Guard. Our hearts go out to the law enforcement officers in Florence County who bravely responded to the active shooting incident this evening. We'll be sure to follow the latest for you online as the night progresses. Live in the studio, I'm Max McGee, WMBF News.
It is a somber image we keep going back to because what happened here has caused pain for so many. Today's shootings in Florence County have captured the nation's attention. More from the scene next on WMBF News at 11. Our live team coverage continuing right now after 8 people were shot, 7 officers, one of them is dead.
Ian Klein joining from Florence County, where he's been reporting live all evening long. And Ian, of course, an emotional night for many.
Yeah, we saw it from officials, we saw it from families and officers, many here hugging and grieving throughout the night. It's become very quiet, but we're going to continue our coverage into tomorrow morning right here on WMBF. And I was just told that we will have coverage on the Today Show as well. Reporting live in Florence, Ian Klein, WMBF News.
We began this coverage just as soon as this incident occurred, just after 5 o'clock this evening. We will continue it overnight and into tomorrow. That is all of our time at 11, but our team coverage on this mass shooting continues tomorrow morning when I join Christelle Bell for WMBF News today beginning at 5.
Stick with us. Team coverage continues tomorrow. Have a good night.